Gormagat, Ceann Comhairle, and look, again, I'd like to echo the sentiments of Deputy O'Connor behind me that I think that there's no better person placed to take up the challenge, in regards to mental health than Minister Butler, and I think she has a great track record in this, and I'm hoping in the years to come that she can put her stamp on this department. Minister, look, we're not, as you said earlier in your speech, I was listening to you, we're not fully aware of the true extent of the impacts of COVID-19 on our mental health as a society. And obviously different people will be affected in different ways. Different people have different resilience thresholds and so on. So I suppose that the true impacts might not be felt for years to come. But nonetheless, I think we all recognise the glaring difficulties that COVID has put before us, and there's obviously a whole host of challenges there that need to be met. I'd like to talk about a few things, Minister, and there was a recent Amárc research poll where 80% of youth workers that were polled had confirmed that the pandemic had profound long-term effects on the mental health of young people. And I suppose whether we're talking about people at second level school, in school, whether they're doing exams, leaving cert and so on, and I suppose the added stress that COVID had on those people, that's clearly demonstrable, and obviously it's a cause of concern for those people. The same is true for third level. There's been many challenges faced for those people. They haven't had, a conventional third level experience, and that's also something that I think needs to be considered when we're dealing with appropriate responses for those sectors. I'd like to also mention, I sit on the Education Committee, and I think that a few other deputies here mentioned bullying and cyberbullying earlier. And I suppose the Ombudsman for Children recently, amongst other representative bodies, would have called for the presence of psychotherapists in schools. And it's not to say that it would be required that a psychotherapist would be assigned full-time to a school, but I suppose even in different regions that a number of professionals could be identified to go in and meet students that might be most at risk and most vulnerable, and address their needs. And I think that's something that this government really needs to focus on and needs to look at. Also, I'd like to, I think Deputy O'Connor as well mentioned the issue of tech giants and social media companies and the role that they can play. And I know that many multinational companies in this country, thankfully, many of them are very good in the various industries that they're involved with, and they do play a large role in corporate responsibility and giving back to the communities that they're working with. And I think it's something that maybe that the government should look to speak with Facebook and Twitter and these companies about their own corporate responsibility in this sector, because cyberbullying is something that is increasingly dramatic. It's increasing at a dramatic rate, and I think everybody in this room at one stage or another has suffered from some abuse on social media at some stage, but it's very prevalent as well amongst younger people. And look, speaking at a personal level and locally, we would see that from a school point of view, we would see the ill effects on many younger people in particular. And unfortunately, in some cases, it can lead to have the most grave of consequences, and can sometimes contribute to people taking their own lives and self-harming and so on. So I do think it's a challenge that needs to be put down before tech giants and social media companies, that they have a corporate responsibility role here to play as well. Can I just make one last comment there before my time finishes, and it's in relation to mental health and older people, I suppose, in particular, because I know that's part of your brief. And across this country, and it's perhaps something that you can work on the Housing Minister with, we have people that are living in large houses, elderly people that want to downsize, maybe don't want to go into some kind of service, but just want to downsize and live in an elderly community. And many people in my own constituency are currently involved in a couple of planning applications to do that downsizing themselves. But they're actually facing difficulty with Bord Pleanála's density thresholds, and Bord Pleanála are suggesting that they need to comply with the same density as per regular housing units, and that's something that just continues to baffle me. This is a purpose-built retirement setting for people, and I don't think that they can be held to the same standard as house builders and developers. So I'd appreciate if you take that into consideration. Thank you.